Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Four Lads Rangers Friday Night Live. Great to be back, isn't it? Sorry if I was a bit grumpy last night. It's sometimes it's quite difficult, but I've done my best, so I'm back. I promise. Not as many swears tonight, maybe. Calvin, good evening, my friend. How are we?
Not too bad, mate. Well, other than the result, but the show goes on. Roll on Monday.
Yeah, it's got to be. And Amrit, you were out there. If you haven't, folks, please check out Amrit's match day vlog. The good thing about Amrit being here is when I'm not at games, he normally is, and great to have you doing the vlogs, Amrit. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Well, apart from the content of the pitch, but thoroughly enjoyed what you're doing, mate. How are you? How was the trip?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, really good. It was nice to get away with Rangers. It always is, despite the result. It was good. So thank you for allowing me to do the vlogs. Did the Kilmarnock one at the weekend and then the one in Budapest. So thank you for having the faith in me, Stevie. It's greatly appreciated.
You're morphing more into Pep Guardiola every podcast we have, mate, with that hoodie and all sorts on. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, look, thank you for joining us. Fabulous reaction to the podcast last night. These things are raw, emotional. Kenny's been with me since day one, and he always turns up. We always give our opinion, and listen, it's not great, but it is at least real as such. Calvin, your thoughts on last night? What was your assessment of that game?
It was a strange one because in the first half I felt wasn't anything special, but the players were doing their jobs, created some chances. Miofsky's goal was a real positive, but as soon as it happened at the end of the half, everything just dipped. It was a strange one. The players, you could see decision making terrible, which we've talked about time and time again. Giga, what a mixed performance that was, because he did make 3 massive tackles, but once again, concentration levels aren't there. Fernandez, same again. Simple defending, basic decisions, just turns and leaves his man completely. And you can say the same about so many players. I didn't think we offered too much. We didn't really create anything. Passing, very, very clumsy, lackadaisical, not hitting their man, not hitting the spaces, playing it in behind people. It's disappointing, but it's at the stage we're expecting that for these players, and I feel sorry for Röhl. He's been handed a very poor set of cards at this stage.
Yeah, it's impossible to say anything other. Amrit, you were there. How was your reflection of the game? What was it like in that away end?
Oh, Stevie, you know yourself, when you go to these away ends, everyone's excited and there's a lot of anticipation around it. Everyone's on a jolly away from the door, so everybody's happy initially. You're in there, you're all together. There's always an electric atmosphere, certainly before the game and during. It was hard for me to do the vlog yesterday afterwards to give my analysis, because you know yourself, Stevie, when you haven't got the benefit of the replays and the television footage, it's hard sometimes to see all the things that people see at home. You know, it could be at the other side of the pitch and then your depth perception's not quite there. You don't know where everyone is. So it was only today, once I got up and then looked at all the replays and everything else, that you think to yourself, what is going on? And then, because last night, Stevie, I'll be honest, when I heard you and Kenny last night, I thought, okay, that's maybe a bit harsh. And that's not a judgment call or anything like that. I thought, okay, that's a bit harsh, because I hadn't seen everything you had. But then once I saw it this morning, I thought, okay, it's perfectly proportionate what they've said. That is a fair and balanced response to what we've been subjected to yesterday. I mean, like Calvin said, first half, I thought we started well. We looked bright, couple of chances. Gave that one away early doors to Yusuf, I think. The ball came over the top. Fernandez were tracking back. He pulls it wide. We're very, very lucky. Our goal, I think Aarons picks the ball up wide. He drives in, really positive, direct run. Danilo gets the touch. Miofsky, theatrical, scissor kick. Looked great. So that was all really positive. And I said in the vlog yesterday at the end of the half, I said, we need half time now, because you could feel that something was building. And then their goal, Stevie, the first goal, it was just suicide. Because the thing is, people like Gasman and Danilo are getting a lot of a lot of the attention for Danilo, for instance, like completely shiting out a 50-50. Then Gasman lets the boy run off him. So I get that. But let's remember, it all started because Butland had the ball in his possession. We're in injury time in the first half. Butland's got the ball and he launches it to no one. It ends up going to their goalkeeper and then they attack from that and build it. So for me, an experienced guy like Jack Butland, just hold it, move the ball over to the other side of the 6-yard box, take your time, tap your studs on the post, do whatever you need to do. But that's just experience and game management for me. So that was a bit naive. And then the second half, we just went to bits, didn't we, really? That sucker punch, I think, at the end of the first half caused us some pain. And then that 50-yard ball, Tav is absolutely nowhere. Danny Röhl said in his press conference, if the defenders are in the right positions where they should be, that goal doesn't happen. And I know we can talk about Fernandez's position, and Calvin's right. He was all over the street. But Barron loses the ball in the first instance. Then Tav's out of position. If Tav's where he should be, that boy's never keeping that ball in and getting it into the box. So there was many, many people that were at fault yesterday for all the goals. It was a collective calamity rather than just one person.
Yeah, it was nice to relive that, wasn't it? Spoke about Butland last night. His kicking was really difficult. Danny Röhls says that he was very angry at the quality of goals we gave away and said that Rangers are destroying themselves. So that's great. He's destroying everybody. We're not only destroying ourselves, but everybody's mental health as well. But he looked extremely angry last night, Calvin. I think that was clear. We'll talk about Danny Röhl in a little bit, but his press conference or his comments to Rangers Telly and that were quite clear.
Yeah, I think he's just saying what we're all thinking. You've seen these tactics. He was trying to defend in numbers, get bodies behind, try and stop the gaps. But time and time again, the gaps were massive. Players were too far away from each other. The passings was not the right decisions throughout. And then even when they're tracking back, they're not running in the right areas. How many times is Tav? He's playing as the right centre half last night. Drifts into the centre, leaves a big gap down the right-hand side. The space is open. He's not really taking a man. He's not really taking an effective space. And that's something they've probably worked on time and time again, leading into that match. He'll be frustrated that players aren't carrying out instructions, and it's not the first time that a manager spoke about this. You've seen it from Ferguson. You've seen it from Clement. When's it going to end? The players need to make better decisions. They need to follow the tactics, follow instructions. And you can see that would just lean on the frustration of Röhl. And he's probably realising now the task that he's got in hand. He already said it in these players in January. We all know it. And there's so much dead wood in that squad that's offering very little. Even there's shining lights. Gassama at the start of the season, very good in spells. Same again. I said the other week about him throwing his arms up after the last European game. He's doing it time and time again. He's selling other players so much. And that first goal comes from him just not taking his man. So what he's supposed to do when these players aren't following instructions that are basic decisions, things you're taught for amateur football, follow your man, don't let them get away, communicate, let other players know. You can see it's not happening.
Yeah, again, it's really difficult to disagree with anything as much as it really pains me. Amrit, Danny Röhl last night. I don't really want to keep repeating myself, but I think it's valid. I've spoken to Danny Röhl many times off camera, and it's quite clear to me. He's never once told me. He's never once kind of said, you know what, yeah, blah, blah, blah. He's not done that, but you can tell. I can tell that he feels it. I can tell that he understands it. Last night, you can tell just how angry he was, and also he must be fed up because, listen, I'm going to put myself out in the line, and I said it last night online, and I'll say it again. I thought we looked decent last night. We looked organised. We looked in shape. And I want people to understand what I mean about that. The players were where they should be. The players were doing what they should be doing. They were fighting. There has been. So see, when he talks about how far we've progressed, I get all that. And I'll add some clarity to what I'm trying to say in a minute. Look at the Bruges game and look at where our players were. Look at how all over the place they were. Look at last night. It's a solid, at times, 5-2-3. Everybody is where they should be. Everybody's in possession. Everybody's pressing at the right times. We're blocking at the right times. We're doing the right things. Do we have enough going forward? We absolutely don't. We don't have the quality. Do we have enough in central defence to make the best decisions? No, we don't. We don't have the quality. That's not on Danny Röhl. It's not on Danny Röhl, Amrit, when players like Jack Butland, he could have done a number of things last night. Send it down the line, put it out for a throw in their half. Let us regroup, let us get up the park a wee bit. Don't give them possession straight back, because you're right, I commented on it last night. The first thing that their goalie done was start that attack. And it led to ultimately the goal. And yeah, there was individual moments and everything, I get that. But it all came from that. And in the second moment, the second goal was just a total calamity of errors. Danny Röhl can't stop a defender trying to do what he did last night. So these are all things that I don't blame Danny Röhl for. And I don't care if people think that this is naive or not. We're going to talk about subs. We're going to talk about selections. We're going to talk about these things. Danny Röhl cannot coach a defender not to have a moment like that last night. You can do absolutely everything, and then that happens. And I just think you've seen he was almost despondent last night. And I think for the first time, we maybe saw a wee crack in his armour in terms of how fed up he is with having to deal with that, because he can only do so much. Once they cross that white line, they have to do it themselves, and it's clear that they can't.
Yeah, no, Stevie, I agree with you wholeheartedly. It felt in the press conference that there were certain things that he wanted to say, but being the gentleman, the diplomat that you need to be when you're Rangers manager, he refrained or restricted himself from saying it directly. He was very open, the fact that he was angry. He said it a couple of times in the press conference he was angry because we were angry and he could see it. But you're right, I agree with you. Our shape looked good and we did look organised. And there has been progression under Danny Röhl with these players, because we're not leaking the goals in the same way that we were under the last regime. But I genuinely believe that, unfortunately, at the moment, with this set of players, Danny Röhl has almost maximised their capacity for success at the moment. And I think the legacy of our season will unfortunately be stumbling, staggering through it until we get to the end of the season, and we'll win some games, we'll draw some games, and we'll lose some games. That's what's going to happen under this regime. I think because he's done so well in the league so far, he's unbeaten in 5 wins out of the 7, drawn 2. It was almost like last night we were led into believing that we'd turned a corner, and there was a stark reality or a crash or a realisation from Rangers fans yesterday that, listen, that was really, those 7 games or whatever he's had are the exception, they're not the rule. And we could see just how far we've dropped with these players because they're not good enough. And I'm not angry about it anymore, Stevie. I'm really not. I've gone through the stages of grief. Anger subsided now. I'm just upset and I'm frustrated. So we get to January, we need to make some decisions, we need to make some changes. But listen, that's a lot of work that needs to be done. This is not going to be 1 or 2 windows. This is 2 summer windows for me until we turn this round, Stevie. Not only have we got your Asgards, Rothwells, Ant-Mans, Chermitis to get rid of from the summer, we've still got the ones from the old regime. We've still got Cifuentes and Dowell and Curtis and Davies and Matondo and King. We've still got all those guys to get rid of. We couldn't get rid of them in the summer. They're still with us. So I feel for Danny Röhl, and I don't think we can judge him until he gets his own players in. And that'll probably be this summer, in all honesty, because what we're going to get in realistically in January, Stevie, maybe 2 or 3 out and 2 or 3 in. I think that's really all we can hope for. But I hope the deals are getting done now, and we don't have a sporting director, so that doesn't really fill me with confidence either.
I'm going to bring this up from multiple man 78. You can coach a player to stay side on and keep an eye on the cross. Why would you say otherwise? Of course you can. Absolutely, of course you can. I'm not saying you can't, but what you can't coach is when they choose not to and have moments like that. If this guy is 20 odd years old and already playing and signing for big money in that, Danny Röhl should be able to expect them to do the very basics, and that's exactly what that was. That's not on the head coach. It's not on the manager. This he can coach them, he can do, but he can get them in shape. He can give them instructions. He can give them tactics. If a guy chooses not to follow a runner, if a guy chooses to try and defend like that, which only he can explain what he was possibly doing, I'm sorry, mate, that's not on the manager. And we can go round in circles and pick holes in it, but it's not. Calvin, expanded on Danny Röhl, he came into a team that had, if I remember correctly, 9 points in 8 games. I can't quite remember. We'd drawn 6, lost. Drawn 6, won 1, lost 1. Was it something like that? I can't quite remember what he'd done. And he obviously, since he's come in, we've won 5, drawn 2. We get 17 out of 21 points. I don't see what else Danny Röhl can do with this group, because we sit and we say this group are so limited and this group are so poor, and we talk about everybody we want to leave, and it's a very long list compared to the ones we want to stay. What is he supposed to do? How is he supposed to get better? We know, look, last night we were very basic in attack. He's having to play Max Aarons as one of his main providers on the right-hand side. Of course, it's not going to be great. We understand that. He's very limited options of what else he can do. I don't really know what people expect. We are not good going forward. I'm desperately trying not to swear. We are not good going forward, right? And Danilo does look a bit spent. There's nothing up front because Miovski's having to come so deep. Gassama's miles off it and he looks in a huff. The midfield battle, they do battle, but they're really limited on the ball. The pair of them, I don't think they make good decisions. I thought Connor Barron started really well and battled really well, but fell right out of it. I don't understand what else Danny Röhl's supposed to do. We talk about changes, right? Don't play Giga, don't play Fernandes. That's fine. Do you chuck in Ciala? Do you chuck in Sterling at the back? You probably are getting to the point where you look at things last night and say, aye, okay, you do. James Tavernier is shot to bits at the moment. There's a mistake almost every game from James Tavernier at this moment. He looks well short of confidence and fitness, and he just looks like his legs have truly failing him now. Or maybe he doesn't. Meg Homer's had a wee break and looks a wee bit better at left back, still not the overall answer. We're so short on players with everybody that's out injured. I think I read 11 were out. I don't understand what else he's had to do. You can argue, right? Let's give Lyle Cameron a shot. Let's play Ciala at the back. Let's get Sterling in as soon as possible. He's still relying on guys going forward that don't have the quality. I am loathed at this moment to really go in on Danny Röhl, because what else is he supposed to do?
I think it was about his youth, Stevie. He's made the best of a bad situation. He's put the team together to an extent. I think it was yourself that spoke about it the other week. It's like the team just aren't gelling. There's not that kind of camaraderie. Do they like each other? The kind of players from before have called out so many players on the pitch and in press conferences because they've been saying they don't care. They don't understand that they need to win every single week. And it's things that we've all thought. He made us hard to beat to start with. We stopped leaking goals. We picked up a few goals, which we weren't doing at the start. But we're still not doing anything spectacular going forward. And he needs time on the pitch with players. We need better attacking options. We need experience in winning games, players that can drag you through, talk younger players through. We've got so much inexperience on that parquet, players that are required to win. We've seen it as championship jobbers that stand out in teams that aren't particularly very good. Asgard was this big money player coming in, standout player, plays well for Norway. It was at Luton, Wigan, not really expected to win. Is this the level that we're at? I'm disappointed how Ant-Man's kind of worked out because he had a great season in Holland, but we've seen so many players come from Holland into British football that struggle because it's a very different setup of football. Is that the big issue? We've not signed players that are set for playing in the SPL. That's a big talking point for me. It's all right bringing in these European-style players, but it's very different over here. It's such fast football, in your face. Players don't give you a minute. Every game's a cup final for these other teams, and these players aren't handling it. They don't understand this. We have to win every single game. We have to be at it every single game. You've seen Walter's famous statement before. It was the first 60 minutes is a battle. The quality wins after that. And these players aren't understanding that by the looks of it. Is it going to change? No, not with this type of players. We need January to come fast. They need to put in the right bodies. We need the right attacking options, and we need to sign a centre-half that can organise things. That's massive. We have no leadership in this team right now. And you can see it. The confidence is dropping. You need somebody that can pull them through it, and we just don't have it right now.
Amrit, where would you change this up? Where I have issues, I suppose, with Röhl, right? And I understand it, so I get the whole context of it and everything else. Sorry, folks, if I'm going like this, it's because I want to scream into a pillow, really, when I'm talking about this. But there's not much he can do, Amrit, when he talks about, or when we talk about playing the same play. He has to try and get something out of Asgard. We spent so much money on him, 3.5, 4, whatever it was. Chermiti, Jesus, man, we spent 8 million plus on him. He has to try and get something out of him. So I understand why they're coming on. I get it. But at some point or the other, Danny Röhl maybe needs to realise that these guys are just never going to do it, and they're not going to do it. So what more do I want to do? I thought Finlay Curtis was bright last night on the left-hand side. I I think he's got a future with us, and I would be playing him a lot more at this moment in time. Lyle Cameron, I'd probably just play him at this moment in time just so everybody shuts up about him, just to see if he really can do it, because it's become a focus. He's probably one of these guys, the more he's out of the team, the better he's become. And he can't, I suppose, do any worse at 10, so he needs to come in. But after that, I'm not sure what else he's possibly meant to do. Inciala is probably the only other centre-half option. John Souttar's not far away. Dujon Sterling would partner John Souttar for me at this moment in time. I thought that was a bright spot last night in terms of Dujon Sterling getting game time. But the manager's not silly. He knows that. He's been out since April. He can't throw them back in. So I think that's the only thing for me. He leaves himself open a wee bit if he keeps playing the same players, keeps trying the same things. He has to find a way for this attack to work. I suppose Mikey Moore starting. What about Mikey Moore, Curtis, and Gassama all in there? Just throw a wee bit of mayhem at it and see if something sticks, behind Miovski. Miovski came off last night. It was a knee to the back of the hamstring. It wasn't a hamstring, so he's had a knock. Hopefully he's going to be all right for Monday, a bit of bruising, but hopefully he's fine. I would be on the verge of trying something like that. Just put them all on and see if we can spark something between Curtis, Gassama, and Mikey Moore. Let them run about, let them swap positions, let them cause a wee bit of mayhem, because we don't have the quality, so more numbers in there might work. People asked what I would do, how would I change it? I would try and do something like that. Inciala would come in for me. I've seen enough from Inciala before he was bombed out to think he was okay. He's got a mistake in him. But so what are we losing by giving him another chance 6 months down the line? So these are the things that I might do. He's in a tough place, Danny Röhl, because he has to try and get something out of these guys. But sooner or later, they're going to continue to cost them, and then the patience will stop because he continues to pick them. I suppose it's rock and a hard place, Sam.
Well, yeah, I mean, Steve, you make a lot of good points. Ultimately, Danny Röhl has to use these players because regardless of what people think, we are not going to get 6 or 7 players in January. It's just not going to happen. It's a seller's market. It's not a buyer's market in January. It's desperation purchasing a lot of the time. I don't think you get a lot of value for money in January either. So he is going to have to use these players. What I would like to see is maybe 3 or 4 come in and build a spine and then use these mediocre players in and around that spine. And hopefully they can be inspired because they have 3 or 4 new players who are better and raise the standard of the team as a whole. And that will hopefully motivate them to want to play better. But as far as changing it up, I mean, Lyle Cameron's become this sort of folklore saviour in exile that, like you said, he gets better because he's not playing. But if you look at all the players under Danny Röhl's command at the moment, Lyle Cameron seems to be the only one that hasn't had his shot. Everybody else has had minutes. Everybody else has started, been introduced and got some minutes in the legs. That hasn't happened for Lyle Cameron under Danny Röhl, and that concerns me. So I would like to see him come back in, and I would put him in there. I wouldn't have Asgard in there at all, I'll be honest with you. I know we've got to try and get something from him, but for me, Asgard is like an Alsatian running around in circles looking for somewhere to take a shite. That is what he's like, as far as I'm concerned. And he just honestly frustrates the life out of me. There's no doubt that he has talent. Technically, he is gifted. There's no doubt about that. But he just doesn't really know what the hell he should be doing with that ball. So for me, Asgard's definitely not the answer. Moore has to come on. Moore is definitely one of the players that we need more of. His direct run. And Stevie, you need to just compose yourself here. This is a professional podcast. What in the world is going on with you? So
well, you cannot make a comment like that and blame me and Calvin for losing it.
Wait a minute, you were the one that said we have to be honest on this podcast, Stevie. That's one of your lines. So I'm just being honest.
Absolutely, but that was just the wildest thing I've ever heard. And it's like, I get it, but it's like, geez, right, anyway, carry on, mate, carry on.
So for me, Curtis, I would drop gas, man. I'll be honest. I did not like his attitude yesterday. Like Calvin said, he was like a petulant child, throwing his hands up in the air and huffing and puffing. You're a professional footballer. Act like one. You're meant to be a gentleman. You're playing for Glasgow Rangers Football Club. You're not down the park with your pals. Man up and behave responsibly and encourage your teammates rather than decrying them because the ball wasn't exactly where you wanted it. So that really, really frustrated me. So I would drop gas, man. He's fallen off a cliff for me in terms of his form recently. So I would bring Curtis straight in there. Moore's got to play for me. Like I said, Lyle Cameron. And do you know what I would do at the back, Stevie? I'm with you. I would play Sterling with Enciala. Enciala on the left, Sterling on the right. I'd get rid of Fernandes and Jigger for a couple of games and say, well, look, these two haven't made it work. Why don't we mix it up? We've got to try something. You can't expect that you just do the same things repeatedly and perpetually and expect a different result. That's just unreasonable. So just mix it up a little bit and get Sterling and Enciala in the middle for me. I think that could maybe have a positive impact, because Sterling, even in the 20, 30 minutes he was on yesterday, he looked comfortable. He didn't give the ball away. He did the simple stuff. He looked experienced. He looked like he knew what he was doing. And we've always known that from Big Dooge. And he loves Rangers and we love him. So I think if we could just clone Sterling and put him everywhere, we'd be sorted.
Yeah, I love him too, but it would be nice if he was fitter for more than 20 minutes. Calvin, transfer rumours today, exit for Joe Rothwell. This is a bit where you come on and tell us he needs to stay and positive player and everything else and blah, blah. Said no one ever. He's one of half a dozen that you would want to leave, isn't he?
100%. It looks like he's just lived off an all-inclusive the full time. The fitness is terrible. He looks so out of shape. Totally different type of player for what we were sold before. You speak to the fans at Leeds, etc. They were like box-to-box midfielder, high energy, can move the ball forward, and out with that short display against Hearts when he came on. We've yet to see it. He was a player that really excited me when he came. Somebody with a good bit of experience. He played for teams that had to win games because they got promoted. At Southampton, they won 30-odd games with that team. Leeds, same again, 30-odd games to get promotion. And he just doesn't look like a leader at all. He was a leader in the teams. He's bringing nothing to the table for us. And I'm assuming he's on a pretty hefty wage because he was in a Premier League wage before. If he can't cut it, he can't cut it. He's obviously come up with the big thing Billy kind of thing. It's not worked. He should have been a player that stood out in this league. He should have been the star in the midfield. He should have been somebody that could control games. He should have been somebody that can make decisions, take shots from the edge of the box, run midfield, be high energy, get involved. He's not. And he looks so far out of the picture, it's unreal. We did miss a bit of pre-season, but it's no excuse. We're in middle of December now. Every one of these players should be up to scratch, and he's got a lot to answer for in terms of his own personal fitness.
He definitely needs some WD-40. So does your chair. And yeah, I mean, he's one that would go Amrit, but there's another half dozen. Let's be honest here. We need to make space in the squad as well. I'd have no issues with returning a few of those loan players and also looking to sell Asgard. I'd be looking to sell if money comes in for players, and Villarreal linked with Gassama. He's a very frustrating player, probably suffering at the moment from a lot of the pressure on him. He's had a bit of a rough patch. He's missed a few one-on-ones in that. The reality is, Amrit, as well, that we need to fund these players that are going to have to come in. If big money comes in for Gassama, and he was the other rumour yesterday to Villarreal, but I think, honestly, if big money comes in for any of these players, I'm not going to bat an eyelid. That's all honesty. But Rothwell and Gassama, there's probably another 4 or 5 you would add to the list quite comfortably in January and look to sell.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. I agree with the Roswell thing. He just looks unfit. I mean, I'm not a physical Adonis or anything like that, but I'm not an athlete. I'm not a professional footballer. He is. And he looks overweight. He's got this wee belly that he runs around with. He looks like he smokes 40 fags a day. You never get any more than 60 minutes out of the guy. So for me, he's away. But the thing is, Steve, it's not. I'd love it for us to be as simple as just, okay, let's get rid of these guys. If it was that simple, we wouldn't still have Matondo and Cifuentes and Dowell and King and Davies. We had to give them out on loan because nobody bloody wanted them. And why would they? Because they're awful. We're the only ones daft enough to pay fortunes for these guys and give them these ridiculous wages. Who's going to leave that money on the table and say, right, I'll go play in League One and I'll make 4 or 5 grand a year when I've got a contract with Rangers for 20, 25 plus? I mean, we were the ones stupid enough to give them that. So we've got to offload these guys before we can start bringing people in, because they're on our payroll and they're draining our finances and our resources every single day. And they're loving life. Why wouldn't they? So Asgard, Roswell, all these kind of guys need to move as well, but we need to make space first, Stevie. So it's going to, like I said, I think it's going to be a couple of windows. There's a lot of work to be done, and it's not going to happen overnight. So I think we're all in agreement that Asgard goes, Rothwell goes, Ant-Man, Chermite. I would keep Gasman if I'm honest. Although some of the times I don't like his attitude. I think there is a player in there. I think he is talented. And he strikes me as the type of player that I think if we get better players around him, and you made this point, that if he doesn't have the burden of being the saviour or our constant outball like he is just now, I think he might relax a little bit more and contribute more positively rather than feeling this heavy weight of responsibility all the time that he needs to provide and he needs to provide constantly. So I would keep him. Fernandes, yes, I know he wasn't great yesterday, but I do think that there is a player in there as well with the right coaching and guidance and growth. I think he could improve and at least be a squad player for us. Miovski I'd keep, and the rest of them, I'd be done with them, to be fair.
I would sell Gassama just to stop you from calling him Gasman. Amrit, I'll stick with you, Calvin. I'm going to ask you the same thing. Hibs on Monday. There's no time to feel sorry for ourselves. If we're Hibs and then Hearts, like this is 2 games where Rangers have to take 4 out of 6 minimum. And even saying that is not what me. You should be looking for 6 out of 6, but there's got to be a realism there. This is 2 really extremely tough games. Hibs always cause us issues. Ironically, we've beaten them twice, 2-0 and 1-0 this season. Probably the only team that haven't really troubled us as such goal-wise. But that's going to be a tough game. Tynecastle will speak for itself. Just looking ahead slightly to these games before we finish up, Amrit, what changes are required? How do you set up for that game? What do we need to do? How do you inject some positivity and light into this team ahead of Monday night? Because we can't afford. Giga obviously, it's his last game before going to AFCON. Diamandi's back in the squad. We know that. Hopefully Miovski's all right. We need to. I'm looking at taking Danilo out of that team, to be honest. Miovski would start for me, and I would go Moore and Curtis, and I would take Gassama out of it. Raskin and Barron is fine for me. And would I bring in Lyle Cameron? I'm not sure. The back 4, I would take James Tavernier out. I think Tav needs to come out. I thought Max Aarons was fine last night. He's not outstanding. I know that. He's not a world beater, but he would start for me. Makoma plays left. If Sterling's fit enough, I would play Sterling at centre half. And probably look at, are you bringing in Sterling and Ciala is a big gamble. It might just be one. I don't know where I am, but there's 4 or 5 changes in there for me. Would you put Diamandi back in next to Raskin and Barron? I don't know. There's a lot to it. If you're taking Tav out, you could possibly just put Diamandi back in there for that 3 in the middle and kind of fix it and change it up. It's not like there's an obvious answer. I think through all the kind of rambling that I'm doing at the moment and what you would do and how you would fix it, you're kind of throwing the proverbial at the wall, aren't you, and hoping something sticks to change it up.
It really just depends, Stevie, doesn't it, on how Danny Röhl sees this. Does he look at this as, I suppose, yesterday, as a definitive line in the sand where he says, right, I've tried multiple things with these guys and I've not been effective with them in that regard, so now I need to change it up and do something different? Will he see it the same way we do? Or will he say, look, I'm just going to keep on working, keep on going through this, try and change a few things here and there, not be too dramatic, and just plod along? It depends how he views all of this. For me, I think you rip it up and start again. I mean, I don't think this system or this squad of these players, it's not keyhole surgery that this needs. It's like open heart surgery. So for me, I think you make some changes and you be brave and courageous with your changes and say to somebody like NCL, right, you've been out in the cold sun, there, you're starting, here's a chance for you. Go and show me that you're the man for the job. Go and prove me wrong. I've not given you a chance, so show me that I was wrong. Go and make a name for yourself. And I put Sterling in there and say, right, son, you put an arm around Enciala, you guide him, you keep him, yours are the guys for the job now. And let's get this moving. I think you do the same with Lyle Cameron. You say, Lyle, this is your chance, son. This is your opportunity in front of 50,000 at Ibrox. Go and make a name for yourself. Go and make it happen. Put yourself about. Be awkward. Break the play up. Be brave and courageous like you were when you played with Dundee. I think you throw Curtis in there as well. You throw Mickey Moore in there as well. I keep calling him Mickey. God, I got pelters for that yesterday. It's just a slip of the tongue, a faux pas. Mikey Moore, Curtis, Miovski, I think all of them start as well. We need to inject some energy into these guys and get some motivation in them and try and inspire them what it means to play for Rangers, because this can't go on. I just want to see high energy from these guys. And I think you do that by introducing some of the guys that haven't had opportunities, because they'll come full of energy and positivity, hopefully, to pull the game, to pull the team through and get 3 points for Hibs, because Hibs aren't great. Okay, they're going to come to Ibrox, they'll be well up for it. We know all of that, but they have been a bit stop-start this season. You know, I think they went to St Mirren and won 3-0, which is a great result last month. But then the following week they went to Livy and drew. So there's no consistency, but then we're not consistent either, let's be honest. But I think Hibs are there for the taking. Tiny is another one. I mean, you go to Tynecastle, let's see what happens there. Celtic went there and got beat. That was Rodgers' last game, wasn't it? Hearts will be full of confidence having gone to Celtic Park last week and got the result. But I think, listen, I genuinely think if we do the simple things right, I think if they listen to Danny Röhl, and I've got no doubt that we'll be set up in a good way, we'll be structured and disciplined. It's only if they can execute the instructions. And I think if they do that, I don't see any reason, Stevie, why we can't get 6 points.
You remind me, Amrit, of the guy that Phoebe dated in Friends, who said, like, when he was going over the bridge, it was like the lights of a million fairies and it was just the car lights, and that you are an unreal motivational speaker. Calvin, give me something as positive as Amrit just gave me there.
That's impossible. You can't do that. In terms of the front line, like you said, Curtis has to start for me. He's the positive person in the team right now. He'll get at them. He's got something to prove. He's proven it every time he comes in, and you can tell it means something to him. Hopefully, Miovski's fit. Hopefully, it was just a knock. That's the big thing for me. Left side, Mikey Moore needs to come in. You can decide where Curtis or Moore goes into that slot. I do like the midfield three with Barnes sitting, with Dio and Raskin. I think it offers a lot. You get energy. People can get forward. Barnes can sit in there, sweep everything up. Raskin offers you a bit more. And I quite like Dio in these type of games. He has a liability at times, but he does tend to give you a good performance against these type of teams. Tav, Arns, take your pick. It's not the best options either way right now. Arns seems to have settled down a good bit. He was a player that excited me before. FM legend, as you know, Stevie. If Sterling's fit, he starts. You'd rather have him for the start of the game, even if you get 45, 60. He's a solid player. I really like Sterling at centre-half. Pacey, reads the game well, strong in the tackle. That's enough for me. Left side centre-half, take your pick. Fernandez, if he had somebody with experience next to him, has a bit of potential. Giga, concentration levels let him down time and time again. Inciala, can he go and improve something? We'll see. Magoma, only left back in the team, so that's an easy one. And then Button the goals. That's the things for me. I like the midfield three, Barnes sitting, Raskin, Dio, and get the young boys up front with a bit of energy and pace.
Yeah, that's why I said, Calvin, I would literally consider throwing, if you're going to keep the same kind of shape with a 2-3-1 kind of situation, I would consider throwing Moore, Curtis, and Gassama at it and just let them all run about and like just cause a wee bit of unpredictable mayhem, because at the moment we are very rigid, we are very predictable. I did like Curtis on the left having a run, a wee shimmy takeover and getting those crosses in yesterday, so that gave me a wee bit of positivity. But yeah, I think we'll finish there, folks. Thank you again for everybody joining us. Amrit, thank you, mate. I really appreciate your wonderful positivity. You are like a motivational speaker, like our very own Alec Baldwin from Friends. But yes, mate. Thank you, buddy.
No, it's a pleasure to be part of the team, Stevie. And yeah, I enjoyed tonight. Listen, this is a long process. It's going to take time. We know that. But we'll march on. We'll keep on smiling. We'll keep on fighting. And yeah, let's see what happens on Monday night. But fingers crossed for a Rangers victory. 4-0 Rangers.
Mate, I accidentally cut you off again. Just tell me what you were about to say there.
I was just going to say fingers crossed for a victory on Monday. 4-0 Rangers.
Wow, I'd settle for 4 shots on target, really, because he ultimately probably got a couple. Calvin, mate, thank you very much.
Thanks very much, mate. Hopefully we can get a massive win on Monday night, because that'll be my last game for about a month. So going a wee bit of travelling, so we'll see you all in the new year for myself.
Yeah, Calvin's off to Thailand and all sorts of stuff, aren't you? So yeah, I've seen Calvin in nights out in Liverpool and Glasgow, and they were questionable to say the least. Thailand, things like that. Yeah, I'll just get some bail money put aside for you already, son. But on that note, before we go, just a huge thank you to everybody who's joined us, everyone that commented, everyone that takes part in the show, everyone that supports us. We are just short of 12,000 subs on YouTube. If you haven't, please like and subscribe. It really helps us. Really appreciate all the feedback, all the comments, the support from last night was wonderful. And yeah, it's really good. If you haven't and are a member and haven't checked out the Davy Robertson pod, please do. Davy Robertson, as I said last night, one of the finest left backs I've ever seen for Rangers. 12 honours at the club. He does episode 4 of Rangers Years, which we are really privileged to have him on. We will keep asking and keep being annoying and keep asking ex-players to come on. So yeah, we will keep trying to do that. Huge thanks to our sponsors, Rhino Express, Clyde View Fire Protection and Joinery, Affluent Industrial Solutions, CSD Air Conditioning, Local Darts Shop Online, who are our Sunday sponsored, and our very own favourite ice cream man, Amrit's Candied. So please go and check them out. Guys, have a wonderful weekend. We're back Sunday. I don't know if you're bored on Sunday night. Come and join us. We'll be on from 7. I think it's a bit of a full house. Cheryl, Davy's on, myself, I think maybe Rob. There's a whole team of us. It's not the scheduled Sunday show, but it is Monday's show, because Monday night we are obviously at home at Hibs, so we're just going to do it on Sunday night just to keep you all entertained, and because misery loves company. We really do. On that note, have a wonderful weekend. As I said, thanks for all the support. I'd like to just apologise for a couple of things before we go. Mickey Moore, Gasman, Tiny, and Alsatians. On that note, have a wonderful weekend, folk. Take care.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clyde View Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.